Hello, everyone. Welcome to Open Source Friday. This is a GitHub Twitch stream where I essentially chat with developers and open source maintainers who have awesome projects. Today, I'm joined by Chong, and the two guests I have are Jay-Z and Christian. Super excited to chat with them. Also, I see already 12 people are viewing. So if you want to jump in and just say who you are and where you're watching in from, feel free to type in the chat. But I will hand it over to Jay-Z and Christian to go ahead and introduce themselves.
Okay, I'm Christian, co-founder of Charm. I'm calling in from New York City. No, actually Brooklyn.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jay-Z. I'm the COO at Charm, and I am in California.
Nice. And I see people in the chat too. We got Dan from Tennessee. We got Jen from Denver. Hey, Jen. And we got Bakari. Hey, Bakari from the Bay Area. Awesome. So I think I'm going to go straight into the nitty gritty of what is Charm.
Okay, Charm is glamour in a bottle, essentially. It's an open source command line platform that we made to unlock kind of all the potential the command line has to offer and kind of really nurture and kind of hypercharge developer creativity. We think programming is so creative, and we kind of really want to play into that and make tools that really kind of foster that and play into that. And we want to allow people to build interesting, powerful, really scalable stuff. That's the kind of gist of it.
I love it, especially since for years, in my opinion, the terminal or command line has been something that looks a little bit more boring or can even look scary to people who are beginners. Like the first little command line tool that I started seeing was like Fig. And I'm like, cool, like someone is there are people who are like going ahead and like stepping up the platform. So it's not how it's always been. Like we don't have to just accept it. And I was excited when I seen that Charm is also doing not the same thing, but also enhancing the command line. So I noticed that Charm has like multiple libraries and apps like lip gloss, bubblegum, like I am confused at what these are. Like I love the names. They're cute and fun. But I'm like, why are there so many? And like what purpose do they serve?
Okay, so Charm's a platform. So it's little pieces that you kind of mix and match to make bigger kind of future forward types of things on the CLI. It's like picking your Pokemon team, kind of. More like going to Sephora, and like shopping around and like assembling the look. You have a vision for a look, and you go to Sephora and you buy the things you need to kind of put it together. Those are the little pieces that Charm kind of makes up. So it's kind of like every little application tool library follows like a Unix philosophy, so to speak, which is do one thing and do one thing well. You have lipstick, goes on your lips, does a great job, doesn't go in your hair. Just only lips. So that's kind of the idea with our tools and libraries. The other thing is Toby's the other co-founder. We have product backgrounds. And so we like to think of us, kind of establishing or building out a kind of a suite of products, a suite of like things you can get on the shelf. So we kind of we're really interested in not just the technical side of things, but also the branding side and the visual side and the design side, and making everything is just feel good when you use it, I guess. So yeah, it's kind of like so when we started putting Charm together, it was like putting together Fenty. It was like we were Rihanna and we were making Fenty. And you don't just make like one thing. You don't just make the eyeshadow. You make the blush and the bronzer and the lip luminizer. I went to Sephora the other day. And you put all those things together and you compile your look. And so it also collabs, and that's part of the big open source part. Carly Kloss times Charm.
And just to clarify, Fenty is Rihanna's makeup collection.
Yes,
which Rizal knows.
Those of you who
but for
aren't
many
in the
of our
know.
audience who may not.
That's true. Great for the clarification. Y'all were speaking my language though. I'm like, I have so many Fenty beauty products.
Really? Do you have the canister? Like the canister that the lipstick goes into?
No, I don't have that. I need to get that.
I was at the store the other day and I was like trying to get it, but like they didn't have the color. Anyway, it was a whole. I was very interested in this particular product.
I love it. I like how it magnetizes and the shapes and I'm like,
the shapes are super duper good. They're like little crystals, right? They're these they're so super. Very inspiring. That's why I was there.
And I just want to highlight some comments. Jen said, okay, I am hooked on all the makeup references. Sign me up. And also Dan said, same. Jen said, so do we get makeup for contributing to open source software.
Oh,
Rihanna,
man.
our DMs are open all day
Anyways,
long.
you want to do a collab, Rihanna? We are available.
Charm times Fenty. But it is a little behind the scenes. We get a lot of questions around how do you come up with the names? How do you
Mhm.
come up with the visual design? And Christian is our genius designer, visual leader. And that's a little how he gathers his inspo.
Yeah, we all
Got it.
kind of
That's why you're in Sephora. I looked into it.
exactly. Yeah, I couldn't find the stuff I wanted there. It's such a bummer. I ended up with this like YSL like thing.
Oh.
It's cool, but like not really what I
Fun.
wanted. Anyway.
Yeah, but why don't we? Wow, we have 96 viewers watching. This is nice. Like, I think this is the highest I've had since I've been hosting this. So kudos to
Whoa.
y'all. But why don't we go into a couple of demos? Like, I'm loving the makeup references. I'm loving learning about charm, but I want to see it in action.
Okay. Who doesn't like a little action? Let me present this thing. This is what is this duck at the top of the screen. It's like saying make your command line. I can't tell if it's like a charm thing or not. This is StreamYard. Anyway, never mind. Let me figure out do it. Okay, we're gonna do a window.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me open up a window for it to pay attention to. Do you see my screen?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. We're gonna look at soft serve today, and soft serve is we like to show soft serve up. It's a tool we make, and it's a what do you call it? A little mighty self-hostable Git instance where you can kind of host all your repos. You can if you push to it and there's no repo there, it'll just make a repo on demand. It's real nice. I think we have a picture in here. Do we? We do. I can't really type on camera. Ooh, wait, let me.
Seeing like a little.
That's soft serve.
Oh, okay.
Look at that. Images in the terminal. Is this the future?
That's so cool.
Okay,
Like
back to TV. This uses a bunch of tools. Let's just get right into it. So there's a little, let me make this a little bigger, smaller. Okay, cool. Can you guys see that okay?
I can see it. Chat,
cool.
feel free to tell me if it looks clear to y'all. But yeah, it looks good to me.
Okay, cool. So this is the front end, the to a little self-hostable Git server. This one has all our projects on it. And we're using this library called Wish to make the SSH connection. It's really, really, really cool. Kind of a genius thing that Toby came up with. It's basically tools to make your own SSH servers, which is really, really, really special. The way you would make like a HTTP server. And it's using Bubble Tea to render the UI. That's sort of our premier interaction framework. It's using Lip Gloss to do all the styling and colors, built on top of one of Muesli's libraries called Termenv. Muesli is a senior member of the Charm team, and it's using a Glamour for rendering these markdown files. So these are the readmes, and we're looking at the soft. So this is kind of too meta. We're looking at the soft serve reference itself. Why don't we look at something else like Wish? Okay, so Wish is our soft serve, our SSH framework, and it's just like GitHub in the CLI in a way, in that you can go through the file tree and look at your files and look at your stuff. Look at the commits. Here's the one that Carlos did when he fixed something the other day.
Wow.
Branches, browse your tags. And the craziest thing is that it has mouse support.
Wow.
And that's a really special thing that came out of this community. This contributor named Liam Stanley built this thing called Bubble Zone, highway to the Bubble Zone. And it basically allows, it's magic. I don't even understand how it works fully, but like with seemingly little effort, you can make everything clickable. And I don't understand how it knows where the mouse is, but it does.
It's amazing.
Very kind of special thing about open source. So that's kind of the gist of that. And so let's say we're going to go look at Harmonica. The Harmonica is something we're not using in this, but it's our, what do you call it? It's our animation framework. So we're going to go over here. We're going to copy Harmonica. Boop.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to do that. And then we're going to want to clone it, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to get out of here. We're going to leave it open, maybe. Okay. That's our message of the day at the top. Our official charm message of the day. Here we go. We're going to clone Harmonica. And there we go. We have our little, we cloned it, and we cloned it straight out of our soft serve instance using Wish's Git, kind of built-in Git functionality, which is really super. And yeah, there you go. You have our all the stuff.
And it has a file tree? Like this looks like.
Oh, this is Vim.
Oh, sorry.
Vim is a
I was like,
Vim was a good old-fashioned text
all
editor.
I do
Also
with
with
Vim
TUI.
is exit it. So
Right.
Awesome. This is cool.
That's kind of the gist of it. And we like this one because, yeah, like I was saying, it shows off so many different things that we've done. It's a real, real special. And Eamon just did a super big overhaul on the UI. It looks so pretty and so functional.
And just to clarify, you all have developed all of these different, or the open source community for Charm has developed all of these different libraries that are able to get put together and create different applications. Is that?
Yeah, what happened was it started off, there were just things we wanted to do that
Mm.
we couldn't do. And so someone had to do it. So like with bubble tea, the whole thing was we wanted to make the terminal's really good at focus. It's really good at, you're in this kind of thing, you're on your command line, you're typing stuff, it's printing stuff out. And we
Yeah.
had this notion of, and most of the TUIs, all the TUI libraries out there for Go, which is the language you code in, they take up the whole screen, and they kind of like Vim or like soft serve, like we were saying. We had this kind of vision for small little cute type of things that kind of open up real quick in line, let you do what you want to do, and then kind of close out. And
Oh,
and there was nothing to do that. And also we wanted to build things in a kind of modern way. We had done a lot of stuff with Elm in the past and things like that. So that's kind of the impetus to that. And Gum is sort of the final form of that in a way, the final Pokemon form, because it's this tool that lets you kind of open up stuff in line. Anyway, it proved all our theses with Bubble Tea and made us very happy.
I love it. I love how interactive it looks and easy to use. And I love that it has that click like function, because I think when I first learned to code, I was very confused. Like I'm like, I can't click anything in here. Like I just have to like use my arrows and stuff like that to get to the beginning and end of a sentence. Also, we have some questions in the chat and a whole bunch of like charm lovers. Like we have
Oh,
Oli Monkey. I don't know how to say this, but they said I love charm. We also have this person that said I love charm. Like y'all have fans. So many fans. But Bakari asked, is there any other configuration needed before this stage?
before which stage
I
particularly?
think before, I guess you were showing I think soft serve or
Oh,
something.
soft serve. Not really. I mean, you a little bit. Why don't we go back to our little screen? Where are you, Kitty? Kitty's a terminal item I'm using. Okay, so for the most part, you just put it on a server, and you set it up with systemd. If you guys are familiar with server, you set it up with systemd or Docker. There's a little bit of configuration you can do to kind of determine who can get in, who can't get in. This is what the config file looks like. You can kind of you can customize, whether they're private, whether public, things like that, who can access it. It's all in the README. It should be pretty straightforward to follow. You can always, always, always come into the Charm Slack and ask us questions if you need any help. We love helping people in the Charm Slack.
Awesome. And I have one more question. I know I'm like going a little bit off script, but just from seeing your demo, how were you all able to render an image in the terminal? Like that's amazing.
Oh, that's crazy. That's a different library. I'm using this library called Vue, which is this really,
Okay.
really nice Rust library for doing that. It's using this old, Muesli knows about it. Muesli's on the Charm team. It's this old like BBS style of doing it that I don't totally understand, but it's like these blocks and these half blocks, and that's the gist of it. You can go look up Vue, or there's another one that there's a Bubble Tea tool called ImageCat from our community that does the same thing. It's also real good. You can read the source code of that since it's open source.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. That was awesome. I hope y'all are excited. There's like literally, I don't know if y'all see the chat from your end, but
Yeah,
there's just like a bunch of love. I'm like, okay.
it's really sweet, you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. So my next question to y'all, I think I'm actually going to switch to asking like, what was your motivation for building Charm?
Oh man. So Toby and Toby's the other co-founder, like I was saying, we've been friends for a long time, like nerdy friends, like look at my sweet X monad config kind of friends. And we always thought the command line was a really fun place to spend time. Like I remember, I think Keybase came out with a CLI one time, and it was really just exciting to see like new stuff. Just anything on the CLI was fun. And we were, like I was saying earlier, we were finding things that we wanted to do on the CLI that we couldn't do. And we wanted to build in kind of like a modern way. Toby had this very kind of brilliant sort of vision for SSH and like anonymous authentication without any like frictionless, invisible, like all this. He had all these notions with that he wanted to explore. And we looked around to kind of for answers to this, and we couldn't, to answers to our problems, and we couldn't really find anything. And we kind of felt that we noticed that the CLI had been suffering kind of from 30 years of loving neglect, I might call it. It was, like it wasn't the 70s at MIT anymore, but here we were. And if you're a developer, you kind of, you pretty much any developer, you spend a lot of time in the CLI. So we really got we were kind of interested in the idea of kind of just modernizing it and like giving it some love, and not just technical love, like I was saying, but branding love. And we wanted to really make it a place where you can go and feel special. Programmers are so creative and they're so fun loving that we just thought we could really, move in that direction and have some kind of success, hopefully. And since we're devs, we really understood the audience. We we know that we knew all the things that bother devs, like closed source software or metrics, and lack of data privacy. So we wanted to kind of build a kind of ecosystem that devs would like. And a big part of that was open sourcing it, because if you're going to use a tool, you need to be able to go look at the source code and make sure it's not doing something shady. You want to make sure it's not like stealing your data or phoning home or whatever. So that was a really big part of it. End-to-end encryption was a big part of the strategy. We wanted to make sure we had this slogan on the website, it might still be there, that said, "Do you trust us? Doesn't matter." The point being that like the data is like data in the Charm ecosystem. It's encrypted on your machine, and it's end encrypted. So it's encrypted in transit. So when it's on the server can't read it. So one of our tools, Skate, for example, stores its data. It allows you to share data between your machines, but the server can't read the data. Only your machines can read the data, and that's like the whole point, that the server shouldn't be reading your data. So why would you let's just take that away entirely? So that's kind of the gist of it. And the other thing is, I guess when we were doing it, we just realized it could be really, really, really big. So we made it into a company because it just seemed to make sense.
That was a smart move. I love it. And I love the fact that y'all are being cognizant about privacy and encryption and all that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we've all been scathed in like the 2010s, right? From all of that.
And then talking about leveraging tools, like, what am I trying to say? But talking about like making sure that you're making this for developers, or making sure that this is open source because developers love open source. I'm a little bit curious about any GitHub features that your project leverages.
The real question, Roselle, is what GitHub features are we not using? we use a lot of GitHub features. Eamon on the Charm team has really taken our stuff to the next level with CI and deployments in particular, and tests and builds and lint. Pengu added something. Pengu was on the Charm team. He added something so I can't force push to master anymore to main. A lot of stuff like that, so we don't shoot ourselves in the feet. You push, you do a PR, and then all the actions run and make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to. Go Releaser, Carlos on the team, he has this product called Go Releaser. It's this super duper important. I don't know if you know, it's like this tool for releasing your Go software in the Go ecosystem. Really, really big, really wonderful. And that's hooked into our CI and does all our releases. You know the README thing, actually? You know the README thing on GitHub, the little personal READMEs on your profile? Musely wrote this thing with GitHub Actions. It's called Mark Scribe, that basically every hour it runs on GitHub CI or GitHub Actions, and it goes and pokes around your GitHub and pokes around your blog and kind of updates your README to the latest to kind of reflect all the latest stuff that's happening. It's so cool.
I love that.
We use GitHub Copilot.
That's my favorite.
It's pretty, someone else to write your code, man. When Moss first started, Moss is on the Charm team. Moss said, "Hey, is it cool if I turn on GitHub Copilot?" And we were like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Cool. I was wondering why I was coding so slow." So yeah, and of course the classics, PRs, issues, discussions, stuff like that. And the real advantage with there is that we can move stuff in between projects. So if someone posts an issue on lip gloss, and we're like, "Oh, actually, this is actually a bubble tea issue," we can move it over. So those things are all real nice.
Love it. Sounds like y'all are using like GitHub projects, GitHub Actions, GitHub Copilot. I love it, and especially like the use of GitHub Actions. They're so powerful. So next question. I think this is more for Jay-Z on like who's using Charm. Like, who's the audience here? Are we talking developers, individual developers, businesses? I don't know.
Yeah, before I get into that, I was just watching kind of the chat as Christian was going off, and it's so much love. We appreciate it. So thank you, y'all. So pause for applause. Okay, so now to answer Roselle's question, who's using Charm? So our user base has really evolved over time, especially with our product offerings and the growth from virality. So in the very beginning, we had open source enthusiasts build out spinners, fun games, interactive table layouts. And then as our community expanded, there are new utility tools like slides, which Moss built, a TUI to build PowerPoint slides in the CLI. And then this year in 2022, what's interesting is that organizations have started to integrate Charm tools into the infrastructure. So one example is NVIDIA. Jacob there built Container Canary, which is a tool for testing and validating container requirements. Shout out to Jacob. Another example is Brandon from the AWS EC2 team. This summer, he built out an EC2 spot interrupter, which is a command line tool that triggers EC2 spot interruptions and then sets out to rebalance those recommendations. Since then, the EC2 team has, in the course of a month, built out 2 more too. And then now we've just seen, I think in the past month, a Kubernetes TUI that is being integrated into AWS. And so this past week, also hold shout out to Brandon, shout out to EC2 team. And this past week, we just learned DigitalOcean has integrated Bubble Tea into Doctool, which is their CLI. So the beauty of our open source community, as Christian mentioned, is the creativity of the programmers and our lovely users. So one of the missions for Charm is to fully empower them in whatever tooling that we can provide, tutorials, guidance, highlights. And notable for us is that this year our community has hit viral inflection growth, especially when we ship new products or releases every few months. And that's correlated with the new community builds and organizational uses. So for reference, at the beginning of the year, we had just crossed 20,000 GitHub stars across our repos. 20,000 is a big deal. As you know, Rizal, I mean, you're tracking this all day long. Last week, we just crossed 50,000.
Wow.
And that was in a span of 8-9 months. So, appreciate the love, appreciate our community.
It's so impressive what Charm is enabling other companies to do too, like how you talked about DigitalOcean and AWS. Like I didn't even imagine that. That's amazing. I love it. All right. And then, okay, so you were talking about people that are involved in it and that are using Charm. What about people that are either like listening live right now or will be listening later on? Maybe they want to contribute or be part of the Charm community. How can they do that?
Rizal, this is actually probably our most frequently asked question. And we love open source, as everyone knows. And the beauty behind the creativity behind it is that everyone can contribute, right? And so that's anyone from new developers in or fresh out of coding school to this week. We saw Greg Crowell Hartman, who some of you may know is the Linux kernel maintainer. He's contributing to Gum, which is our newest product. And that's so cool, right? And so we really encourage folks to join our Slack, just build out cool apps, ask questions to the community. We're big on sharing, highlighting, helping to solve where we can. So that's charm.sh/Slack. Bash Bunny, who is our head of developer relations, I believe she is in the chat today with us. She has awesome YouTube tutorials and also Instagram reels that really teach and inspire the community. So it's really from anything from 30 seconds long to streams to half an hour of highly polished design forward for all cross levels. So we'll actually soon be launching Inspo, which is a set of ideas for folks interested in building and want ideas, a starting point across kind of developer level. So look out for that is my suggestion. We'll be announcing that across Twitter and Slack.
I will definitely be on the lookout for the Inspo project. That sounds really exciting to me. I seen a question in the chat that actually I was already planning to ask. Oh, wait. And I also want to call out the Slack, y'all. Charm.sh/Slack to join. I always encourage people to, if you want to get involved in an open source community, join their Discord, their discussion board, their Slack, whatever, because that will help to get you comfortable and figure out what the community needs. This question, I knew people were going to ask it. That's why I had it on the list, is are y'all participating in Hacktoberfest by any chance? It's okay if you're not, but just curious if Charm will be.
I mean, by any chance, the answer is absolutely, by all chances.
We think it's a great place to, if you're really shy about contributing or doing open source, it's like a really good place to start. It's because it's kind of like an open door. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Jay-Z.
No. I mean, our team has already marked all of our repos with, I think, the hashtag Hacktoberfest. And so check it out. Just, go on github.com/charmbracelet. And we're big fans. So of course we are.
Nice. And just to make sure you're the programming languages that y'all are using or the technologies is to develop Charm. Am I missing?
I'll go all the time.
Also,
Someone pointed out it's kind of a feature because suddenly you're doing the back end in Go and you're doing the front end in Go, and it's all Go, and it's real kind of fluid that way.
awesome. Good way to learn Go if people don't know it.
Yeah. Someone in the chat says cat jam. I just want to say totally.
Wait, I don't know what cat jam is.
I don't
Like, what is
either.
this reference? Oh, okay.
Sounds good though, doesn't it?
Cat jam.
Nice.
We like cats. We're
Bash
programmers.
Bunny asked, where does Charm?
Charm name. Oh, Christian.
Oh man. So yeah, so I did a startup a long time ago called Glitter, and then I was at this bar at Chelsea at some point, like talking about it later, and he was like talking to this guy, and he was like, you should name all the companies you do after Mariah Carey albums. So I don't know. Glitter was this Mariah Carey album that came out like 20 years ago, I think. It was notorious. Anyway, Charm Bracelet was the album that came after Glitter. And so at first we were calling it Charm Bracelet. Then Toby had the foresight to call it Charm instead because it's a little bit shorter. Rolls off the tongue. But we are officially Charm Bracelet Incorporated.
I love it. Okay.
So everyone here, by the way, we very, very rarely tell the story, and also few people ask, but this is for our community. You're getting the full behind the scenes. One of my favorite stories of our company.
First of all, Glitter, Charm, like such cute names. I need to take lessons from y'all on naming projects because I usually name it something really boring like Generator or something.
Generator.
That sounds like a nice club in Greenpoint.
I mean, you could crowdsource. We have Cat Jam over here, so
That's true.
very on brand.
Any more questions from the audience, y'all? Keep typing questions in here. Someone said Christian's next company will be called the Emancipation of Mimi. You heard it here first. Okay. But it sounds like there's not too many more questions from the audience, although it's like a pretty lively comment section. I do want to go and transition into some of like the non-technical questions I normally ask. And the first one is like, what's your favorite food?
JC, do you want to start?
I will start. So this is a hot take, but it's gotta be, it's I think so underrated. Carrot cake.
Carrot cake's very on brand too. Carrot cake's
Honestly, I love carrot cake.
My favorite fruit is bitter melon.
Bitter melon. Wow.
Yeah, it's like a thing at home. My wife makes it for me at home. It's like it's kind of like the grapefruit of the vegetable world, right? It
very healthy.
Very healthy and like tastes kind of bad, but somehow it tastes good, just like grapefruit.
Never heard of bitter.
You gotta try it.
Check it out. It's like usually a southern Asian kind of plant, I guess. And if
Really
you Google
bumpy.
it, yeah, if you Google it, the texture is close to kind of like a squash or zucchini, but it's bitter. So it's not for everyone, but it's very healthy.
Very
like
healthy
all good food.
But it's like a comfort thing, right?
Yes.
It's like you're at home eating your bitter melon, it's cold outside.
It's a scoop thing.
I like acquired taste, so I'm here for it. I love grapefruit. Actually, we do have some questions in the chat. And Bash Bunny said, are there projects that people can use if they don't write Go?
So glad you asked, Bash Bunny. We do. We have particularly applications. So the big one is Gum. What happened was Gum is basically a tool for, we call it, Moss calls it, a tool for glamorous shell scripts. And basically maybe we can take a look, yeah? Find a browser. Good browsers are so hard to find. Okie dokie. Here we go. Can you guys see this okay?
Yes.
Okie dokie. So this is the Charm website. It's a great place to find Charm stuff. So Gum's basically a tool for the shell, and you can basically use it to make interactive things in the shell very easily. So this is some examples you can do with it. Basically, you can write Bash or Ruby or Python or whatever, Fish, and you can make very simple little TUIs real easily. It's what am I trying to say? You can also style things. What it is it's kind of Bubble Tea. Bubble Tea is our TUI library, and Lip Gloss, the kind of styling library. It's kind of those things kind of packed up and put into like a little application you can use anywhere really. So that's a good one. That's a really nice one. Soft Serve obviously is something you can self-host, self-hostable server. Little tool. What else do we have? Skate is a really fun one. Skate's a little personal key value store that you can use to transfer data between your different machines or just save it for later, like a little pocket. And Glow's a nice little markdown reader. Glow is a really great little way to kind of find markdown in your machine and read it and stash it for later, similar to Skate. So if you go to, you could look at the Charm website, you can find a few kind of applications that aren't really
Oh,
libraries, and those are the ones you can kind of use.
yeah, awesome. And like, I think I will try to contribute. I know a little bit of Bash. Someone asked again, is Charm or Gum on Hacktoberfest? The answer is yes, y'all. They are they are
We
participating.
got some eager friends here. And just to add a little bit more context on gum, gum is also the product that we released most recently, and the one that Greg Hartman contributed to. And so if you start using it, you're officially part of that cool kids of the new product. And it's within the month it crossed 10,000 stars. So it's very popular. We appreciate it.
Gum's
And
a really good
GitHub
way.
has been great for sharing.
Yes. I was just going to add that Gum's a really good way to learn about the command line too, because it forces you to think about where data is going and where it's coming from, and it helps you. It kind of encourages you to use the command. I mean, I learned a lot about the command line just from using Gum and watching Moss make Gum and things like that. All kinds of stuff that it was embarrassing that I didn't know about. So it's just a good way to kind of learn Bash too, or Zesh or whatever you use. ZSH, as they say
Z
in the
shell.
Commonwealth.
No, not embarrassing at all. I'm like, there's so much to know about it. I'm like, I know the basics. I know how to exit Vim. I know how to write a little bit of Bash script, and then like I get out of there. Okay, Bakari asked, "Are you hiring?" And I know we discussed maybe talking a little bit about your team, so maybe this is a good spot to talk about like what your team is like and what they're made up of, and are you hiring?
There are 8 of us. We're not hiring at the moment, but it's always good to it's always it's all we like to get to know people, and it's always good to introduce yourself. There's 8 of us. There's me and Toby and Jay Z, and Moss, Eamon, Carlos, Muesli, and Bash. I think that's everybody. That's kind of the Charm team. 8 of us. We don't really have any formal titles inside, I guess, but yeah, that's who we are.
So just to add a little bit more context, how we like to work with people we end up hiring, most of the time they are folks in the community already.
Yeah.
And so if you ask them individually, I think we found Bash, who is our head of developer relations, when she's very good at streaming, and she has a Twitch streaming platform. And we actually learned about her when she was streaming about Charm and about bubble tea. And we're like, oh, that's cool. Like we're seeing like who's using our stuff, who's building cool stuff. I alluded before, Moss, he built a bunch of our most popular TUIs and products. And at the time he was at Shopify as a developer, and he built slides, he built a whole bunch of cool utilities that were really fun. Gambit, which is a game which is off, Queen's Gambit. You can play chess in the terminal. And we talked to him, and eventually we got him to join the team. And Carlos too, he's been contributing for a long time, usually all the same. So everyone has a similar story in different ways of how we've been involved in Charm for way longer than before formally joining. And then Christian, do you want to add 2 cents on kind of the Charm team culture and what we value?
What do we value? We really value, like I was saying before, we really value creativity. We don't believe in, I don't know what you would call it, Jira chain gangs and things like that. We really like, if you think about how Toby had a great example once about how you think about how Vim was made, or sorry, how Git was made, right? It wasn't, Linus Torvalds didn't sit down and go through his Jira tickets and kind of like file them away. He just sat down and he made it. He just sat down and banged it out. And that's kind of how we approach software at Charm. It should be a creative experience. You shouldn't be bogged down by tickets and process. We believe you're mature enough to go and do it at your own pace because you like to do it, because programming is super duper fun.
I love it. I really love it. And I like to hear that there were contributors. A lot of the employees were contributors first, and then you all brought them into the system. I've been hearing a lot of other projects or companies doing that too. Like Astro was telling me a lot of them started off as contributors. So Bakari and anybody else who's listening, if you are interested in joining an open source company, definitely start by contributing first and getting involved first, and then you'll be able to maybe get their attention or get more context. We have one more question from the audience, which says, what is the effect of charm on business? And then they explain more, saying, for example, your tools might help make people make less mistakes in their CLI.
Oh, I mean, I would say the effect of charm on business is astronomical. Um, but no, I mean, so in a business, yeah, I mean, you have charm, and we actually, like Jay-Z was saying, we've seen charm in industry quite a lot. Like we've seen, like we see AWS using bubble tea. You see DigitalOcean kind of maybe rolling in bubble tea. We see a lot of, you're starting to see there's a tool for sort of all the kind of front end, kind of back end things you might want to some degree. So we're starting to just see it. It's kind of in however you want it to be in business.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have probably a dozen enterprise case studies now that people have integrated us in their organization, and these are large codes, but they're also smaller startups too. Most folks probably at the open source startup space a lot of them are using us. Supabase is using us. Obviously, GitHub, who we love, is using us, in the CLI, as well as SourceGraph, MinIO, quite a few folks that we're discovering every day. And it's in different fashions, right? It could be as simple as sometimes it's glamorizing your command line experience for the individual developer, but then a lot of times it's automating or checking or validating an infrastructure workflow that's critical to an EC2 use case or a product line, and makes everything a lot faster and streamlined versus manual pull downs. So we're learning as the community is teaching us within their org how they're using charm and bubble tea, and it's honestly beautiful to see.
Awesome. All right, I know I keep saying last question, but there is a lot of good questions here that I don't know. If let me know like in the private chat if y'all are like let's end it. But I just want to make sure people get a chance to get their questions answered, and I think some of these are good. One person said, "Where can they read about these enterprise use cases that you mentioned?" They said it will really help if I can tell people that their contributions are being used by people and companies.
So we are going to publish this soon on our website and list it in a more easily to find fashion. But if you you want more urgently, can join our Slack, ping me, I'll send you, all the use cases. But we wanted to make sure it's on brand with our site and well tailored
we were literally just talking about this yesterday. We were like, we got to put some stuff like this on the site.
Because it's cool stuff, and I want it to be inspiration for other folks like Captain Honest or a lot of companies who reach out and be like, how can I use this in my company? How can I be a champion? I was like, well, there's a lot of companies using us.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, and it is good inspiration to be like, oh, this is how people are using it. Other question that I think is interesting. Let me know if you want to skip it. I think it's cool to learn about how the different business models for open source companies. So they're curious, how do you generate revenue?
Yeah, so I'll touch on this lightly, but currently we are pre-revenue, and we're really focused on open source growth, and we're starting to work with, as I've mentioned, to enterprise partners in terms of the integration abilities with a lot of our products. And so likely, Bash said, I just answered these. So likely that's an avenue we'll pursue. There will be, as we're going through R&D with our product and releases, we are thinking about the suitable kind of product-led growth model. Maybe there are other avenues that our users are comfortable paying for. And one thing that we are very strongly committed to as a company and culture is being very frank and honest with our community. So when the time comes to say, hey, we want to release a commercial product, we'll be upfront about it. We'll probably even get, a bunch of beta testers to be like, hey, are you interested in trying this out? This will be paid, in 3 to 6 months, full transparency. So I want to share that thought. And it's a big cultural thing that we always keep in mind.
Awesome. I love the transparency. All right, chat. Well, I think I'm going to stop reading some of these questions. What is charm? We did go this over, so go ahead and rewatch the VOD.
Yeah, we have 110 viewers now.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Wow.
I don't think I really have had this much before. Usually it averages around like 20 or 30
Whoa, go
This is
Team
great.
Charm.
Yeah.
Good community.
Amazing. Last questions. What's your favorite Beyonce song? And are there anything you
Ooh.
want to promote and highlight?
Mm.
Naughty Girl,
Yes.
right?
Wow. I love that. And you knew that one like off the top. A lot of people were like, let me see.
That's a classic.
Yes.
Takes me back to a special time. Clubs in the East Village Pyramid Club.
Okay, mine's a little bit of a hack, but I'm gonna go with the Destiny's Child, which
Okay.
Beyonce's part of. It's Say My Name.
Yes.
You know, whenever that comes on, that's a tune.
That's
Right,
like
Rizal brings us back.
Say My Name. Yes. Yeah. I'm not gonna start singing because I don't sing well, but yeah. I love it. Okay.
And
Anything else?
promotions. Yes.
Yes.
So Bash and I will be representing Charm in person at GitHub Universe in November. And so for those who are coming, hopefully we'll meet some of you. We actually will have our famous stickers, potentially different new ones. You know, you heard it here first, which we're gonna release them IRL in person. So if you are planning to come, let us know, and we hope to see you.
Are you going to be there, Rizal?
I am.
Yes,
Oh, can't wait to meet y'all. And
absolutely.
I'm gonna be doing some cool stuff at GitHub Universe. So stay tuned. Yeah, this was awesome, y'all. I had a great time chatting with you. Also, thanks to Bash, because it sounds like from reading the comments, this is why we have so many viewers. So so much for helping to bring more attention to, well, not the only reason, but bringing more attention to the stream. And then also thank you so much to you both for sharing your experience and the direction that Charm is going in. It sounds really exciting. I do want to contribute. And also thanks to the chat for being super engaged and showing your love for Charm and GitHub. So thank you, y'all. I'm going to end it here. I don't know if y'all want people to follow you on any platforms or anything. Any last words?
You can follow us on any platform, but we're on Twitter and Mastodon, and obviously there's GitHub
And our Slack.
and our Slack.
Yes.
If you go to charm.sh, you can find all the stuff to follow.
Oh, and YouTube. We
And
have
YouTube.
we have a growing YouTube following, and that's where all our tutorials are.
Nice. I will check that out, y'all.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Great to see you, community.
Bye.
See ya. Thank you.